Welcome to the Mid-Wave Spell Galactic Mind Weather Report. So I like to bring these video reports in at the beginning of every wave spell, which is a 13-day evolutionary process. And on the first wave spell, we look at what is the theme we're going to be working with for this 13-day period. The Mid-Wave Spell Report, which is what we're looking at today, is really a reflection on how has the first half of this wave spell been, and realigning back to what the original purpose was, to make sure we haven't gotten ourselves caught up in the chaos and the madness out there and lost track of what we're actually doing here. So today, it's the middle of the White Wind wave spell. So this wave spell is the archetype of the priestess, where we are working collectively and individually on the process of communication. So we're looking at the ability to communicate with each other. So you will have had lots of challenges and themes around communication turning up with friends, family, loved ones, with workplaces, but not just with each other, but it's also about our ability to communicate with ourselves. We are evolving, and in fact, even more so than evolving our capacity to communicate with the other, we're really evolving our capacity to stand strong in ourselves, to communicate with ourselves, to get to know ourselves, so that we can open these channels to allow our higher self to enter into this vessel. It's like we've been roaming around in these human vehicles, exploring what it's like to be human, and each time we have a breakthrough, each time that we raise our awareness as to what it is to be human, it's kind of like we open up the bandwidth for our higher self to enter into this physical vessel, so that we can be more fully here, more fully present in our human experience as these divine beings having a physical experience, and not the other way around. So there will be many who have had some real challenges, including myself, and I'm sure many of you others out there. And it can feel like it's sometimes feels like, what's the point? It feels like we're running the same loops again and again. And that's where today's archetype, today's dream spell signature, is the yellow resonant star. And the resonant tone always brings us back into alignment with what the wave spell is we're working on. And the yellow resonant star in particular that we're embodying today is all about helping us to understand the patterns of our communication, of our behaviors, and to be able to see, what we're working with in our lives, what our shadow frequencies are, what our gift frequencies are, and how can we use these different aspects of ourselves to paint a life for ourselves that is art. Now, art doesn't mean beautiful sunshines and rainbows. Art is inspired action from the heart. And so today we are reminded that the yellow resonant star is very much, it's a scientific energy. To create art is very scientific. We may not realize it because a lot of us do it very intuitively. But there's a science and a mathematics to beauty, to how things come together. And it's almost like if things are too perfect, they're actually not that beautiful. There needs to be this element of humanity, this imperfection in anything. And it's that balance between the perfect and the imperfect, which is what creates art. It's what creates that art that we actually enjoy embracing and bringing into our lives. So today's archetype, the yellow resonant star, is really calling for us to realign with, what are we trying to communicate? What is the purpose of learning communication? And where does it begin? And when we track the patterns of how we speak to those outside of ourselves, how we treat them, and how we then communicate with ourselves, you can start tracking that thread like an investigative journalist, researching, why am I talking like this to these people? Whether I'm being aggressive or passive aggressive. Why am I behaving like this and speaking like this? And as you go deeper and deeper, you begin to find the root cause deep inside our wounding that is creating these triggers, this fear, You know, and most of us are communicating often from a fear frequency, from a place of not knowing what's happening, from a place of chaos, a place of, you know, the unknown. And so what it really boils down to is that, you know, we need to understand ourselves. Because how can you communicate with someone outside of yourself if you haven't developed a strong bond and communication with yourself, with your higher self? If you are not fully present here in this physical form when you are trying to communicate to someone in front of you, how can you be speaking your truth and stand strong and solid in that? So as we track it back, we begin to find that it's our wounding patterns, these things that we're born into the world with a core wound, and that is kind of, you know, activated through our upbringing, through our childhood. And it's a function, it's a karmic evolutionary function. We're not a victim to these wounds. You know, we chose to come in and help work through these. And as we work through our wounding, and we do that by coming up against each other. You know, we're like sparring partners, with our friends and family, and with the world. That's what the outside world is for. It's an outside reflection that you can go up against, express yourself against, and fall over and hurt yourself sometimes. And sometimes you'll hurt others in this exploration. But that's the human experience. The real key is not to try and speak properly, not to be overly caught up in morals and the rest. But the real key is to develop your awareness of your communication so that you can watch yourself while you are reacting or responding. And the more you develop that awareness, the more your communication will improve. First and foremost, the more you'll be able to open up the channels of communication with those higher aspects of who you are and begin to ground them into this being. But first we have to clean up, and we need to see the beauty in the madness. We need to see the beauty in the chaos. We need to be able to understand the evolutionary functions of the shadow frequencies, of those who challenge us, and of those things which make us want to give up. And so today we are encouraged to find the beauty in those things, to find the gift in those things, and bring your awareness on those gifts, and begin to harvest that gift frequency from all the challenges that surround you in your life right now, and harvest those gift frequencies and bring them together and weave your art and offer that to the world. Because you are beautiful, every single one of you. You are the one that is in your own way, just as I'm in my own way. We're all in this together. So really allow yourself to be human today and see the beauty in the human experience if you can. It can be challenging. And if you can't, remember, your breath is your greatest asset during these great times of metamorphosis and change. So breathe deep into your base whenever you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed and anxious. And time will help heal this until you are ready to stand on your own feet and take it by the reins. And to help you do this, I have created the Galactic Mind Weather Academy. It's an online course. I've put lots of love into these videos where you can learn the foundations of this work. You can understand these evolutionary patterns that the Mayans were tracking for a long time. And you can begin to understand your place within it and develop a real deep sense of purpose, which is what really we're all lacking right now. So I strongly encourage everyone to consider checking out the online course. It's the Galactic Mind Weather Academy. There is a link in underneath this video or somewhere, you'll find it. Check it out and use the promo code TIMEISART with no spaces. So TIMEISART, and you'll get 20% off what is already a relatively low price. And then you'll be able to get started on understanding the architecture of your human vehicle and understanding your full fifth dimensional whole-on self. You're part of the hologram of humanity and why you're here. And that will help you find the art in the challenges because it can be hard without some kind of framework to support that. So please check that out, and I will see you at the end of the wave spell. In the meantime, enjoy the daily weather reports, sign up to Patreon, it's only $3 a month, and you get them directly to your email so you never miss a one. Until then, in Lakesh, and so much love.